Good morning. I just wanted to jump on and speak for a second about the royal wedding with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. I was, obviously, if you're on social media, any of that kind of stuff, right now it's probably flooded with information. But I started thinking about her as I was looking at some of the different things that people were saying about, her dress and about the wedding and how beautiful it is. I started to think about her as a woman, having this moment where life is coming together and they're having a ceremony. And I started thinking about perspective and working with women every day and empowering women, wanting to see women be everything that they are destined to be, fully strong, fully equipped to take on the challenges of life. I started thinking about what was going on in this woman's mind in this moment with much of the world watching this moment, this celebration, what was going on. And I began talking to myself, kind of as I was preparing for the day. I began to talk to myself, and I wanted to say some things. I wanted to share some things so that perhaps it will empower you. Perhaps it will give you a different thought for this day. And so I was thinking about this royal wedding, and I was thinking about how at some point in her life, this woman, Meghan, had to take on a different perspective. She had to at some point adopt a perspective of the palace. She had to adopt a perspective of the position that she would hold in the palace. That whatever was going on in her life, at some moment, it became clear to her that she had a role that she was going to fill in the palace. She had a position that she was going to fill in life. And so in her present moment, when she hadn't yet stepped into it, she had to begin thinking of that position that she was going to fill. She had to begin thinking of the role that she was going to fill. I was looking at her as they showed her walking out, and I started to think about her posture. She had a posture of prosperity where she moved from one place to another place, and her life prospered. She had to take on a different posture in her life. She had to take on a different thought, a different mindset, a different paradigm, a paradigm that positioned her for the palace and the position that she would be in the palace. See, I imagine at some point in her life, there was someone that said something negative to her, because it happens. People say negative things. There's probably someone told her that she wasn't good enough. There's probably someone that told her that she wasn't all that pretty, or that just insulted her in one way or another. It happened because it happens to everyone. But her mindset, she had to at some point be convinced of where she was going. She had to be convinced that where she was standing in that moment when someone made a declaration was not the end-all be-all of her life, and that she had a perspective of a palace. That she had a position in the palace, in a paradigm that was fit for a palace. And her posture was fit for the palace as well. And all these things would carry her through. See, she had to become convinced before she ever took the vows, before the ceremony was ever arranged, before she walked down the aisle, before the world was watching, she had to become convinced of where she was going in life. And the thing about this is, she had to be convinced before it ever arrived. Before these moments, before the ceremony, she had to become convinced before then, in order for her to step into that moment. So I was thinking about today as she walked out, and she has a new title and she has a new position in her life, and her life is different today after making a vow and a commitment to this new way of life. But what I thought about was that she had already started adopting that movement. She had already started adopting that paradigm, that mindset, that posture, that paradigm, that mindset. She was already fit for the palace. And so what is she today? She's royal today, but she was royal yesterday. Yes, she'll be royal tomorrow, but she was royal in her yesterdays when she began cultivating a mindset that prepared her for the position her life was in. And so today, I simply want to encourage you, even if you take some time and you go and you look at, if you look at the ceremony, if you pull it up on YouTube or Facebook or wherever it may be, if you pull it up and look at it, I would challenge you to look at her life. I would challenge you to imagine what perhaps may have happened prior to these moments. Things that may have discouraged her, things that may have tried to hinder her from getting to that position. Interactions that she had with people when people weren't kind to her. Those conversations of self-doubt when she might have told herself that she didn't measure up. Imagine for a second that she had the conversations that we all have with one another or with ourselves. Imagine her having those conversations and yet being convinced that she had a position in the palace. That she was preparing herself for a position in the palace where her posture and her paradigm would keep her rooted and grounded in where she was meant to be. That's the challenge that we all face, that we have something greater for our lives that perhaps we will step into, or perhaps we will forsake if we do not cultivate the mindset of being prepared for it. And so today, I challenge you to prepare for your position in the palace. That palace being that high place, that place that you're meant to be, where you become fully you, where you prepare for a great moment in your life, and then you step into it. I challenge you to prepare for that. This is just a man's perspective on the royal wedding. Have a great day. Be beautiful, be amazing, be strong.